this one is really, this brings so many good memories. I grew up in a different part of the world. I'm originally from Nigeria, West Africa, and my earliest memories of food is my mom, my aunties, and also as kids being incorporated in that experience. And we learned to cook at a very young age, and cooking was very much less of a science but an art. You didn't measure anything. It was all just, and I still cook the same way today. But food was very much connected to family, to celebration, to community. That was some of my earliest memories.
Welcome to Tap and Table. My name is Ryan Hannigan. I'm here with my co-host, Matthew Schniper, and we are here in a sort of different environment. We're in the city's Behind the Springs podcast studio, video studio, amazing production studio. We're here to interview Mayor Yemi and Councilmember Talarico. And first, we need to talk to Jen Schrader, who is the host of Behind the Springs. So Jen, welcome to our little mini show before the show.
Yes, thank you for being here and for collaborating with Behind the Springs podcast. We're excited.
So can you tell us a little bit about Behind the Springs and what it provides for the Colorado Springs government?
Yes, we started Behind the Springs a few years ago. And funny enough, when we started it, we were looking around at other cities to say, how do we do a government podcast? How do we make a government podcast interesting and fun? And no one was really doing one. A few law enforcement agencies, a few law enforcement agencies were, but we sort of just started from scratch, and we just started having our own people on, our own employees, leadership, all the way down to line level workers who were doing the everyday, public works, streets, park rangers, all those people, and just talk to them about what they do and different issues that come up in the city. We have the mayor on quite frequently. And so our podcast is really for anyone who cares about the city and wants to know what local government's doing and hopefully learn a lot along the way. So it
gives a really big sense of transparency, I think.
I hope so. That's our current administration, I would say even our past, really, wanted to be transparent with the public and share with them what we're doing. And we do that in various ways on social media. We do it in our blogs, on our website. But podcasts are just kind of an authentic way, I think, for people to just have nice conversations with one another. And it doesn't feel quite as scripted and edited. We don't really edit our podcasts at all. We just come on here and record them and send them out to the public, and hopefully they like what they hear.
That's a good thing.
Yeah.
I just wanted to thank you for collaborating with us and doing this episode and having us, again, be in your studio where we didn't have to set up. And it's almost awkward, but it's that time where now we just kick you out of your own show so we could take it over.
I'm okay with that.
Kind of like the beer tap takeovers of the days of old. So it's now like a tap and table takeover Behind the Springs for the next little segment here, and thank you for letting us do that.
Yes, take it away.
Yeah, we'll do a little bit of musical chairs here in a little bit and bring the mayor and council member in, and we'll get going on that. But you want to talk about our sponsors?
Sure. This episode, we're grateful to again have the support of downtown Colorado Springs. We also have the Ute Restaurant at City Rock, and Golden Pine Coffee Roasters is joining us this week. We have an awesome, we're actually drinking their coffee. That's going to be the sip of our episode. Ryan, the roaster over there, has given us a Papua New Guinea roast, and he has given me some prep notes just to say it's a natural processed coffee. We should expect some natural sweetness, some plum notes, some cherry notes. So as we drink during the show, you and I will be enjoying those lovely aromas and tasting notes of Golden Pine Coffee Roasters.
Yeah.
Cool. You want to get going?
Let's get going.
All right.
Let's jump around. Downtown Colorado Springs, home of the largest concentration of independent restaurants in Southern Colorado, is proud to sponsor Tap and Table and support the passionate individuals who make the food and beverage industry a cultural highlight in our lives. With more than 140 restaurants, cafes, bars, breweries, and coffee shops within its boundaries, downtown Colorado Springs has the perfect something to satisfy any craving. Find a complete list of where to dine and drink at downtowncs.com.
I'm personally thrilled to have the Ute Restaurant sponsor this episode of Tap and Table. Why? Because I'm a member at City Rock Climbing Gym, where the Ute is located. I love that the Ute has healthy house-made items like salads, wraps, and two of my personal favorites, the Thai peanut Buddha bowl and a turmeric quinoa black bean bowl. There's also hearty pastas, flatbread pizzas, Cuban sliders, and even a great customizable ramen bowl. The Ute also hosts over 50 of the finest craft beers on a constantly rotating menu. Me, I'm always working my way through the IPAs, from brands like Cerebral and Outer Range. I dig that I can show up at the bar with climbing chalk still on my clothes because of the casual atmosphere. It's a comfortable space, rich with character, even kid-friendly, and you don't have to climb to enjoy the eatery. Check out the Ute restaurant inside City Rock at 21 North Nevada Avenue next time you're downtown. They're open from 4 to 10 p.m., Mondays through Fridays. Plus, you just might see me there.
If you're like me, coffee is more than just a morning jolt. It's where caffeine and craftsmanship collide. Golden Pine Coffee, born out of Black Forest's R&R Coffee Cafe, is setting off on its own after that cafe's untimely demise. From farmers, workers, and importers to the baristas and coffee shops brewing every cup, Golden Pine aims to honor the entire coffee cycle with each roast. Head to gpr.coffee to find your next favorite, or pick up a bag at various farmers markets around town this spring and summer.
All right. Councilwoman Michelle, Mayor Yemi, thank you for joining us today and giving us your time. We're excited to be here with you. We're talking about food and drink today. So we are approaching you both as former industry people who own businesses and have been active in the food and drink industry. So we're not here today to talk politics and everything. We're talking food and drink today. So it should be really fun. And I wanted to kind of just start by having each of you walk us through what businesses you have been running and related to the industry, a quick history on that. So maybe, Michelle, would you like to jump in first? Tell me about Picnic Basket and all associated brands and how that all came to be.
Sure. And I will try to be brief because we have owned our business for 35 years.
Whoa.
April 5th. So
Congrats.
I don't remember what month it is, but I know April's coming up soon. So the name of my business is Picnic Basket Catering Collective. My partner and I bought this business in 1989. It was a little bitty delicatessen off of Constitution Avenue. It didn't have a good or a bad reputation. It just had a phone number in the phone book. That'll tell you how long ago that was, in 1989. We bought the business for $4,000. It's a true story. We each had $300. And 35 years later, I am incredibly proud to say that we've spun off from the initial name Picnic Basket because we never loved that name. Thought it was too cute. We first spun off the name Cravings 5-Star Events.
Okay.
And then about 5 years later, we spun off the name Buffalo Gals Grilling Company. And so those three divisions now make up the collective. And we have proudly been doing events all over the Pikes Peak region. We're purely off-premise, which means we are a restaurant on the fly. There are days where we have 15 weddings going on at one time all over the state of Colorado.
Wow.
And so our true gift beyond amazing chefs is logistical planning.
Okay. And I failed to mention, we know each other because I worked for you at one
Yes.
point in time.
What?
And
This is true.
I kind of wanted to know, ever since then, have the other employees been upset that I was the best employee ever? Do they still talk about
Every
me?
single day, they say, if we just would have had him stay,
Right.
this business could have gone such a better direction.
I thought so. Well, thank you for
all the
yeah.
time. And
No,
thank
that's
you.
not
It's
true.
It's still
I want to ask, was he a good employee?
he was a good employee. He was a little bit cocky, if I'm being
course,
honest.
of course.
because he still is.
Look at me.
Confidence,
Yeah.
confidence.
That's who he is.
Right.
But he was a great employee. He worked with us at the Fine Arts Center, and one of our we had the restaurant there, 3 different iterations.
Right.
You can imagine. You have a lot of iterations over 35 years, and Matt was one of our servers and bartenders, and
Yeah, it was my.
Awesome.
I think it was my first experience at volume banquet style because I'd worked just as a waiter at tables most of the time. So to see it at that scale was pretty impressive.
I
And
thought
to
we
see
were crazy.
just a little bit, but I mean, those the vans would show up with everything, and we'd be unloading and running that space. But those are good memories from my restaurant past. So jumping to Mayor Yemi, do you want to walk us real quick through your industry past and what you doing now? Well, now you're running the city, of course. You kind of step away from that. But what's in your portfolio?
He's got a lot more restaurants under his purvey now.
He does. Yeah.
Ooh, I like that. I like that. I need to figure out how many restaurants those are. I want to mention that I was 10 years old when Michelle bought her first business.
Thank you so much.
But she was also 10 years old at the same time too. She got an early start, so that's really important for me to mention. But speaking of 10 years old, my business is over 10 years old, 11. I think going on 11 right now, if not 12. But I kind of stumbled upon it, to be honest. Like most things, I stumbled into economic development. I even stumbled into becoming mayor. We were trying to offer something different at the city at the time, and how do we retain our talent? How do because at the time a lot of young people couldn't get out of the city fast enough, and so the initial concept was primarily around beverage. So this is how we met. Ryan and I met. How do we promote and sell Colorado beverages, beer, cider, coffee, and we just kind of got into the food business accidentally. It was, I think the 25% of your sales needed to be food, according to the liquor laws. And so we're like, okay, we need to do more food, and we opened that door, and we just kept going.
So you had no prior industry experience before. We're talking about. This is a Wild Goose Meeting House.
Wild Goose, yes, I should say. A Wild Goose Meeting House. I'm connected to Wild Goose Meeting House and Good Neighbors Meeting House.
Okay.
Yeah.
So those are your only two forays into the industry. You don't have you weren't waiting tables like me back in the past or anything like that.
No.
Okay.
No. I at the time I was when the idea for the business started, I actually put myself through my own education. So I worked at some of the local places, actually as a volunteer.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You kind of just staged and learned your way through.
I would talk to the business owner and say, "Hey, I'd love to learn more. I work for free, and if I could learn what's going on behind the scenes, and because at the time we knew this is what we're going to do this business.
Okay.
It was just a matter of me catching up to speed on the things I didn't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. So let's see. Question for both of you again. How do you go from running a food and drink enterprise or business to deciding to run for office?
I'll tackle that, but I have to first come back with, I was 23 when we bought that business.
Oh, I thought you were 10 years old.
So,
okay, my bad.
Yeah, I was a little bit older than 10, but not very old. So it was a pretty cool thing to own a business at 23. I have always made it a project of mine, passion of mine, really for probably the last 25, 27 years to be involved in the community via involvement in boards, involvement in events, involvement in community activities and giving back. It was just something that meant a lot to me, and I think that it's very corny, but I think I found myself in the service to others in that realm. And so while this is a big jump to go from boards to being on city council, I felt like it was the next step in giving back to the community. I always say I was born in Denver, but I was raised in Colorado Springs. And so I just feel very passionate about giving back to this community. Sometimes I want to pull my hair out, but that was a next step for me.
Sure. And Mayor?
I'd say the essence of the calling is the same.
Okay.
Food and beverage and political leadership. Government leadership, because I hate the word politics. It's about servant leadership. It's about service. It's about solving problems.
Okay.
At the time, I mentioned earlier that what inspired me and my business partner at the time to start this was trying to be a part of the solution. How do we create places in our community that would enhance civic pride and will hopefully help retain some of our young people and a place for people to get together and hang out over food and beverages. And so that was a problem we were trying to solve at the time. Now, our city has come a long way, and I know we're going to talk about that later. But so stepping into political leadership, I know for Councilmember Talarico and I, we're still solving problems. It just looks different, but the essence is the same. We're still serving others. It's still servant leadership.
Yeah.
So more or less, it's a different but the same mission, and the drive is very similar for me.
Okay, that's interesting. You're playing right into the biggest question I have for you today. Like
But I'm going to jump in here real
Yeah.
quick because I've got a question. I'm going to go a little off script here. We've talked about service, we've talked about your histories, but I want to know you as people. What is your earliest memory of food, and what's your fondest memory surrounding food? Yemi, I'll give
Yeah,
you
I'm
first.
happy to.
Yeah.
Can switch it up. I'm happy to. This one is really. This brings so many good memories. I grew up in a different part of the world. I'm originally from Nigeria, West Africa, and my earliest memories of food is my mom, my aunties, and also as kids being incorporated in that experience. And we learned to cook at a very young age, and cooking was very much less of a science but an art. You didn't measure anything. It was all just, and I still cook the same way today, but food was very much connected to family, to celebration, to a community. That was some of my earliest memories.
And mine is similar. I didn't grow up in Nigeria, but I have a Italian side of my family and a Mexican American Indian side of my family. And my fondest memories should really be about both grandparents, but they're more so about my Mexican grandma. I had a grandma, Lena, who was everybody's everything. And her making homemade tortillas every Friday night for the entire family.
Wow.
And making these stacks of homemade enchiladas. And the men, this was a little bit chauvinistic, I'm finding. The men would get a fried egg on top of their enchiladas, and that's just the way it was. And the women would not get a fried egg. Not that we wanted that, but the smells of her kitchen, the feel of her hand, her serving the food. Everything about me, I think I owe to my grandma Lena.
That's awesome. Well, thanks, Ryan, for asking the best question of the day. I'm just going to leave now. Yeah.
I was feeling all kinds of
my
stuff.
only
I know.
contribution
All
to
kinds
this,
of
so-
emotions.
And he completely
I'll see
just
myself out.
went off script with that. I'm embarrassed for myself.
It's not in the question, Ryan.
Come on, man. Don't do this to me.
I warned you.
Don't do this to me
Flying
again.
by the seat of my pants here.
Okay. Now, after that, lovely. That was great, actually. I do really want to talk about how your past in the industry, though, has informed your current work in an elected position. We talked about this a little bit. I ran into you a few months ago, and I just said, I think, stop. We got to get you on a podcast for this. But I want to come back to that. You really had some great things to say. So apply the industry to your job now. Walk us through how that informs how you go about your day now.
I'm happy to also to take your first stab at it. I believe what you're talking about is I'm trying to remember where we saw each other, but you asked me
Christmas
about,
party. I think it was
Christmas party.
yes.
And the
CSLI or
words that came
something.
out of my mouth were, completely. It's a direct connection between what I did in the food and beverage industry and my work as mayor. I said, we're in the hospitality business. So we're in the hospitality, and not a week goes by without me telling my team that. So there are three. One of the values that I've put forward in front of my team, and an entire 3,000 person organization. There are three actually values in terms of how we will execute governance. One is that a government that is transparent, a government that is also proactive, and a government that is approachable. Approachable is where I get we're hospitality, we're in the customer service business. We're serving 500,000 people, and how they engage with us, how we empathize with them, how we listen. Sometimes, you're dealing with irate customers. I've been there. We've all been there. And we teach our team that it's not always about us, being also able to care and listen and empathize. Perhaps they had a bad day. And also, how do we make things right? All those things that I've learned in the hospitality industry, I've been able to bring into government. And it's been well received. I think most of my team members get it. And so there's a direct connection. I do feel my small business experience was the best training I got for this job. And not just the hospitality side of it, but also the grit as a small business, the hard work, the needing to be creative, the needing to know you have limited resources and finances, and how do you make more happen with very little. And I feel like small business ownership has really gotten me ready for this job.
That's very interesting.
Yeah.
I love hearing that. Just I can imagine people in the city being told like, "Hey, you're in the hospitality biz now." They're like, "What's he talking about? I clean the streets or I run the utility thing." Like, what?
Yeah, we're not serving.
Yeah, what?
drinks but we are serving.
You make a great point.
Yeah, we're serving people.
Yeah, Councilwoman, what do you?
And I couldn't agree more. I think that so much of, I think that it's too bad that every person doesn't go through some sort of hospitality training, because I believe that it teaches us at our core the deepest form of humility, respect, integrity. And I think probably the biggest thing that I would highlight for me as it relates to my current role on council is honor. I have always found it a deep honor to be privy to the special events of a person's life, whether that be a celebration of life or a marriage or whatever. It could be a grand opening. There's something very, very much bigger about that than that actual event. And being in that space with people when they're planning those events has been just a huge honor of my life. And I would hope that if I am spoken about in any way at any time, that some of those words would come up, because I would hope that I would be that kind of a leader on city council. I think that to lead with humility and grace, and I learned that through absolutely hard, I mean, you can imagine in a 35-year career, there are times very much that I wonder, why have we kept going, right? I mean, you have to really love what you do, because we've been through a lot of pitfalls, but I think that that's just something really unique that our industry offers, and I feel so fortunate to have learned those lessons and to be able to share them.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I often use restaurant metaphors in my own life, and I don't know about you guys, but you find yourself saying when you're busy, "Oh, I'm in the weeds." Anyone in the industry gets it. You're like, "Oh, you know what the weeds are," but outside they might be like, "What's he talking about?" I'll use restaurant terminology often sometimes, but I just think about even just that grace under pressure, under fire, especially when you're dealing with an upset client or customer, someone face to face at a table, food's running late, whatever it is. We've had 100 examples of what it is, but there's those tense moments in the hospitality settings. If someone's unhappy, you still have to keep your composure and be professional and deal with them appropriately. You can't just go off on them or do something unprofessional and there goes your job. So those moments alone, just having someone yell at you at a table, are highly formative for later in life. So,
and Matt, to your point, I've actually experienced that since I've started this job. There are different occasions where I was engaging with a constituent for the first time, and they were literally screaming at me. My team was so worried. They would come and check in. Is he okay? And I understood that their frustration predates me. It's not about me. And I sat there and took it.
Wow.
Thanks to the hospitality industry. I mean, when Councilmember Talarico talks about honor, I mean, it's those things have been formed. I think about the event I'm going to tomorrow to honor Keith King, who Keith served this community as a city council member, as a community leader, as a state representative. And one of the new things that I've started to do with legends like that in our community is to take the Colorado Springs flag and fold it and present it to the family to honor them. And my team said, "That's never been done." And I said, "Well, that's the right thing to do. That's customer service. You've served this community. You've loved this community. We're going to honor you." And so I would say that customer service that we bring to government, and there are other ways you can frame. Some people might say kind or being nice. I just think that is just hospitality at its most foundational form, and that's who we're supposed to be as leaders, as elected leaders.
That's great. Maybe we should be the first city to mandate everyone has to work in the industry before they get a job here. Can we just make that law?
I think we can.
We could work on
pass a
that.
resolution.
That's it. Here we go.
Yeah,
Here we go.
every job interview should start with, but where'd you work in the industry? You know, sorry, we
I don't
can't
see
take
your
you.
restaurant experience. Son.
Right, yeah.
You need that before you can come.
Right, yeah. Just take that resume back, and we'll see you in 6 months at least.
Missing
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
Put in the hard work.
Ryan, do you have another brilliant question? Because I have a long one coming up, and I want to give you some space.
You do have a long one, and mine actually is sort of going to play into that one.
Go for it.
You've both been in the restaurant industry in this town for going on 11 years, 35 years. How have you seen our scene ebb and flow over the course of that time? Downtown. We're in downtown right now, where the city offices are, and that's where the Wild Goose was started. But back 35 years, in 1989. Downtown wasn't a place that many people even wanted to do business in. So how have you seen, you have this sort of nomadic business, as you've sort of explained. How do you see our town ebbing and flowing in terms of where people are choosing to do business?
I am so inspired by what's happened in the last 25 years in this community. When I came here in 1984 to go to Colorado College, I'm being serious when I say this, the coolest things to do as a college student, besides go drinking at Benny's, which was this little basement bar, we weren't supposed to drink because we were too young, but was to walk to Poor Richard's or Michelle's. I'm not digging on either one of them. I loved them both for different reasons, still love Poor Richard's. But that was cutting edge.
Right.
Back then, I mean, seriously, I would brag to my family in Denver, and they'd be like, "Oh, I don't know what you're talking about." I am so inspired by entrepreneurs like Yemi and so many others who have taken a chance on this community and this downtown. Granted, some of that was happening before 11 years ago downtown, but businesses like yours, Yemi, that brought people together in a different way. Literally, the name says meeting house. You're inviting people to join in this amazing food and beverage fellowship period for themselves, and I think that I was worried, frankly, 20 years ago, that people that moved here because they loved the mountains would not want to stay.
Right.
Because there wasn't enough happening in the food scene and in the drink scene. And I feel like we're an entirely different community and still growing in that way. So I'm so inspired by it. I think every day that I hear there's a new restaurant opening up, I'm just excited.
Councilmember Talarico beat me to this. I wanted to compliment her. I did. I mean, I think about the leaders that paved the way for leaders like me, and you're one of them. The work of Picnic Baskets, Poor Richard's, and Phantom Canyon, and others. I just I admire and adore you guys for the work that you've, and also being consistent. I mean, when I think about the legends and the leaders who have been doing this way longer than 11, 12 years, because there's a lot that opened just in the last 10 to 12 years. But you guys have kept that quality of life going until the new generation of people like me began to say, okay, let's take that risk. If these businesses are still around and they've been doing it, there's a chance for new ones. So thank you for the kind words. And the only other thing I would add is I remember, I think the Wild Goose opened would have been whatever that year was, 11, 12 years ago. Well, when I
know I was there with you interviewing. I can't remember either.
So much has happened. But where we're at today, compared to when we opened, it's night and day. I don't know if you remember this data point in 2017 where we were named one of the top number 10 in the top 10 most hipster market. And a lot of that was hipster just means trendy and new, and a lot of that was kind of this acknowledgement in Colorado Springs has evolved. And there was I think it was primarily associated maybe at the time to the downtown zip codes and the quality of life and the offerings. And I do think we've come a long way. And we also showed up in another hipster rankings in 2022 as well.
Oh, really?
And Denver was named, and then Colorado Springs was named, but not even Boulder was named, which I thought was interesting. Huh. But all to say is that we've come a long way. But I don't think that means that we say we're done.
No, not
we
at all.
still have a lot of work to do.
That's great. That segues perfectly into my last question, which is really, where do we go from here? And what do you think we're missing? If we want to be that great city that all of us want to live in and improve, and you know, folks coming in from outside, they talk about some of the great food cities they want to travel to, and we're not quite on that list. You know, we're getting there, we're getting better. People who come and give us a chance, when you show them to the right places, they're like, oh wow, this place has amazing coffee, amazing spirits, amazing beers. Like, you get them to the right place, they know we're legit, but we're not there yet.
Right.
I've been pretty honest about that in my own writing and reporting. Just we're getting there, we're slow, and you've already just said it, but what else would you like to see? Is there anything you can think of that you know we need? And I'll throw out one quick example, something I was excited about recently in my own reporting. I always love to see a new cuisine arrive. We have 1,000 burgers, 1,000 tacos, 1,000 pizzas we don't need anymore, although people come up and do some good stuff. But I'm excited when we get a new international cuisine. Mm-hmm. And we've had, and I've spoken to you about this before, like Yushina's done Ethiopian food here for a long time, one of my favorites. But there's another new Ethiopian place that just opened I've heard about. I haven't been yet. But then I just recently reported on a West African place that opened out on North Academy, our Clio Rich. And it was exciting to me because a lot of people are going to be, eating with your hands again. We're not used to that as Americans. And the cultural experience, it's so rich and so valuable. So I champion those. I'm so excited for new things. So that's my example, is like more international, more anything we don't have. But what would you say? What's on your radar of things we could do to improve our scene?
All of the things that you just said, and this is not to kiss up to you. I really do.
You could do that. It's okay. It's okay.
I truly read the email blogs that come up with great interest, and I read every word, and I get so excited, and I thank God for people like this who are doing this work. So I completely agree with the international part. One thing I'm really excited about, I'll try to summarize it quickly. Right before COVID happened, there was this trend, I think it was international, but I'll just say nationwide, that we go towards more mocktails and drinks that had adaptogens and really work on that side of the beverage industry. Mm-hmm. That kind of went, of course, away during COVID, and then we had this huge uptick of people drinking, perhaps we could argue a little much.
Right.
But that trend is coming back now, and some may argue it's not a trend, it's been around forever. I am really excited about some of the new bars and concepts that I'm hearing about that are opening up, because there's a ton of mental health and wellness around that topic, and I think that we are also at the precipice of being able to up that part of our game as a city, and I would love nothing more than to support those business owners.
That's wonderful. I like that.
I believe we can drive demand for those new restaurants, new things. My call to action for our listeners and those that are watching is support. Because if there's no demand, it's hard for those new things to come up. Support your local. Support everyone that's been here from 35 years to 11 years to brand new businesses open, and support all of them. We need more. I hear you say, do we have enough taco places? I actually think we need more. You know, we're a city of...
This just in from Mayor's office. More tacos, please.
I would say we're a city of 500,000, and we're projected to be the largest city in the state in about 25 years. And I think we're going to need more of everything. But to your point, would like to see more new things. I'm excited about hearing about a new West African restaurant. I need to go check it out. I do know that there's the owner of the Nigerian African supermarket in South Academy is trying to open up her first Nigerian restaurant.
Oh, wow.
So that's exciting to see our city grow up. And I see a real opportunity for leaders like, I keep wanting to call you Michelle instead of Councilmember Talarico, but I'll just say Michelle. For Michelle and I to leverage our own stories, our own identities. You know, when I hear, part Italian and Mexican and Indian and West African, and I think that also inspires future entrepreneurs to go, oh, okay, I see part of my interest in myself and some of my elected leaders. Maybe there is an appetite for newer types of restaurant. So I anticipate we'll see more of that, but those things are not going to happen by accident. Ultimately, we all need to support these businesses. That way they don't say, oh, we tried that and there was no market for it. Now we're gone.
Yeah.
So support your favorite local. Keep going. Support all of them.
Perfect closing remark. I love that. Thank you. Thank you both for joining us.
Thank you for having us. I just have one ask. Next time we do
No,
this.
please.
We should next time be eating, like
Could be eating together.
food and beverage. Like we should be having
I
this
thought about
podcast
that.
over food and beverage. I'm just saying.
We have to be so careful because you guys can't be seen to endorse any, you're in an elected position now. So you have to be careful
Yeah.
about where you go and what you do. And so with respect to that, we didn't even serve
Fair
you
enough.
coffee today. So we're all having, water here together. But I love this idea though. Maybe you should cook for us since,
I always feel guilty when I don't bring food.
yeah.
Yeah, I want to see your cooking skills because
I do.
I feel like I can smell it right
my
now.
wife's
just
another good
hearing about
cook,
it.
so we'll see.
Well, thank you.
Awesome. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us. And one last thing, I promise this is the last one. I really do want to thank you both for, and I don't know, I'm getting emotional about this, but both of you at so early were telling stories about the food and beverage scene and supporting local businesses like ours. And when we talk about what else do we need, not only do we need more entrepreneurs, we need great storytellers who are promoting the best of our community. I have a great team to try to do some of that, but ultimately it's not government's responsibility. I appreciate the work that you guys do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
in telling this narrative.
It's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate it.